So yeah, good evening, my name is Nicolson. I work for the Intelligent Plant up in Aberdeen. We're a company that's been going for about 10 years now. We mostly work in oil and gas because we're in Aberdeen, that's what there is to do, and for a long time it was a very good place to work. But a couple of years ago it all went a little bit wrong. So we had to kind of reinvent ourselves a little bit, and I'll explain kind of some of what we were doing there. Is anybody from oil and gas? There's a couple of them. So this is oil and gas kind of oriented, but some of the things are applicable elsewhere, and I noticed all the things that Katie said are giving me ideas, and there are kind of tie-ups there. So we'll look at what the opportunities are in the North Sea, and then what the problems with them are. One of the main issues is with uptime, and production efficiency runs at 50 to 70%, and that's just really good enough. So a lot of what we're doing is looking at increasing that, and with a 30% improvement, this is 2015, over the next 20 years or so, we could get another 1.4 billion barrels of oil, which is $56 billion. So if we can make software and apply it, there is a lot of money to be made. Where do we start? This is a little study that was looking at where this downtime came from. It was mostly coming from compressor downtime. And in that, it was operating practices. And this was quite a kind of surprising result, because inappropriate maintenance is what most people are looking at, condition monitoring and all that kind of stuff. But operating practices are the biggest chunk of that, and I'll show you something later where we're trying to address them. Okay, so that's the opportunity for us, but there are other ones hopefully in the room today that are some of these things. But to make that opportunity work, we've tried to build a new software model, because the one that existed was very difficult and was stifling innovation. So I've got a little kind of chart here showing this is the old way with all the difficulties, this is the new way where we're trying to make things easier. I'll go through and explain how that works. In the old days, what would happen is somebody like us would have an idea, we'd make a prototype, we'd go to an operator and say this is our idea, this is how much money we think it'll make. We don't really know, but we can make a guess. And when we can install that on the operator's network, that has costs as well to the operator for their servers and all the people that are looking after it. So, which is often of the same order of money of what the application costs. So the operator will either decide that, yep, he'll go ahead and it's good, but often, or sometimes they'll go and then we'll find issues with it because it was never properly tested in the first place, because we didn't have access to data and all that kind of thing. And that clouds the market for future projects like that. The operators become very wary, and this has happened quite a lot. In the worst case scenario, nothing happens at all. Another way it can happen, and this is kind of where we were 4 years ago maybe, is the operator himself has an idea. It's probably developed in Excel. He takes an application developer and says, right, I'll pay you hours, I want you to develop this for me. They install it on their network at their cost, and they pay all the support costs. In that kind of situation, all the intellectual property stays with the operator, it doesn't come to the developer. So the developer can't take that and use it elsewhere. It's a one-shot application that's in one operator. And often this success is temporary, because as technology moves along, it needs to be done again. There are some applications that I'm seeing now that are on their third iteration of doing pretty much exactly the same thing. So we wanted to make a new way of doing this, and so we've made an industrial app store. And what that's really about is giving the data connection to the data that already exists in the oil industry and in other process industries. So how it's going to work is that we charge nothing to connect. We don't charge anything for application developers to access the data. And then once an application is made, then it's paid for on a usage basis. So there's no initial high capital cost, there's just a pay for use, so this is reducing the risk and reducing the barrier to the cost of entry. We need to make some money from it, so 10% is taken by us, and 90% goes to the developer. Okay, so what we're trying to do by that is the initial cost is coming down because it's pay per use, support costs come down because that's in that scenario, costs are down because it's the applications live externally, much easier to trial, so it's much more likely to succeed. So I'm going to put a slide. Before we get to that, just to show how this kind of all pans out. Typical thing that we are looking at just now is this network here, which is within oil companies, chemicals, electrical companies. They have a site custodian and they have one of they've been storing that for years and they have access to it. If you want to build an application, you've got to be in that network and accessing it. So what we've made is this App Store Connect, and it connects to all these different custodians. These are all the commercial ones that are available, whether OSI, Soft, Aspen Tech, Honeywell, what you see. We make the connect, and then up here, with all the applications, they can be up by us, they can be by others. So that's the traditional market we were going for, but because we've done the protocols for LoRa and MQTT, so the whole Internet of Things becomes more available as well. So you had the monitor for the water. What we'd like to do is take the thousands and thousands of them all around the country, put them all into one place, all that data is historized, and then the people that are experts at looking at that data can write an app accessing that data from. Okay, and there's all the security and stuff in there, obviously. So this gives us systems for experts. So within the App Store itself, we give the visualization, that's kind of part of the package. So that's a typical kind of oil process. For wind farms, we can draw anything we like. I don't know if anybody recognises that. It's from The Martian. That's what Hollywood thinks NASA graphics are going to look like in 30 years' time. I have my doubts, but if that's what you want, that's what you can have. If you want something from the 50s, yeah, you can do that as well. So that's standard visualization. Then we have trends. Trends have been around for ages. They are very useful. But we've gone a little bit further than that. So as well as having just a normal trend that's showing us our pressures and temperatures over time, we have a parallel coordinate plot where we take that information, turn it on its side, and now we can see relationships between variables. So we can see things that we've not built a data model for, things we don't know how it works, just put the data in and we can start to see how things are connected. Because they're connected to physics or chemistry. We can do an XY plot kind of thing as well. So this data is actually from a pump. This is the head flow curve. So we can kind of see, yeah, this pump's running off its curve. That's how all the other variables related there. And that's the point in time it happens. So we do quite a lot of kind of analysis all in the one place. So this is all part of the App Store Connect. So that's the generic things that are in there. Some of the specific things that we ourselves have built. This is one is uptime. This takes alarm and event data, which are just records in time. This happened at that time, this happened at this time. The operator did this, the operator did that. We go searching through all those records, looking for something that's of interest, which in this case is a compressor trip. And then we'll then look at all the things that happened in the 10 minutes before that. Red things are alarms, blue things are operator interventions. And so what we can see for the 20 times that this compressor tripped is that, yeah, there were these alarms, These are the things that the operator was doing that have directly caused that, and the operator's probably not aware of that. That kind of tied in with what you were, that's something I've wanted to do with the aspirin and paracetamol, is that, yeah, if this is taking paracetamol, what happened before and what happened afterwards, if you've got a database of that, so we're analysing it. Okay, and we're in business, so this is the kind of stuff we've got to go, yeah, if we can save this many trips, then we can save $2 million.
This is with maintenance, is it? How many trips?
That could be for any kind of event that happens that you are interested in. Normally, it would be trips in our case. If we're just looking, this is looking at operator envelopes, so we've taken the parallel coordinate plot, put all our variables on it, and then normalized it to a line along the middle, and now we can easily see when anything is deviating from our normal. And if we order this with our process, this is the start of the process and this is the end, then we can see this rippling through our process in time, and hopefully the operator can go ahead and do something about it. Okay. Another thing that's across correlation matrix, so then we're just putting data in to see what happens. In this case, we're looking at gas production tied with well positions, how open the choke valves are. We generally don't have good instrumentation on that, so there's no indication of flow, which is probably easier. All we can see is what the position of the valve is. So our gas reduction is the thing we want to maximise. These colours, so the colours are showing the relationship between that. The more red it is, the more positively correlated it is. The more blue, the more negative the correlation is. So what we can see here is that, yeah, this is a good well, it's highly correlated with gas reduction. This is a good one. These are okay, but this one's actually a little bit blue. So opening this well is reducing our total gas production. And we can see that just by looking at the data. It's not an obvious thing in reality, because when you open it, what's probably happening here is this is sealing gas. It's sealing it from other wells, or it's increasing the water production, and that's giving us a bottleneck there. So this is part of our taking the data, just doing a kind of generic analysis on it without needing to know anything, and seeing what comes out of it. Okay, and we're doing some specific applications as well. So wax intelligence is looking at wax build-up in the pipelines. As the temperature drops, we can get wax. It's a bad thing, the pipe will eventually block. And we're looking at controller consultant as well. These applications before, without the App Store, would be too small to justify a project. We're talking less than kind of £10,000, but the internal cost of the operator would be so high compared with that, it would never go ahead. But with the infrastructure there, it's easy to put these little things in on top of that, so that we're reducing the barrier to entry. Okay, so when we get to the Internet of Things, yeah, this is a McKinsey report, is that there's $11 trillion out there, things to be analysed. This is part of where we kind of want to be, is to get the people who've got the sensors, who are doing the monitoring, but then don't necessarily have the skills to do the data transfer and visualization and visualization, and connect that up with other people, perhaps who have the niche knowledge to write the applications to do the analysis that gives benefit. Because there is a benefit, it's complete. Thank you.